at the national office. We are here in Concord, New Hampshire. And I know that some of you have been on these calls before, these webinars, and others of you have not, but they really are supposed to be informative and instructional, but also informal. So please stop me at any time, unmute yourself, ask a question if you have access to audio. If you do not have access to audio, we also have the chat function. So you can go down and you can chat and you can type in questions. Joining me today is the communications director for the Academy of Applied Science and for the National JSHS Office, Sarah Monroe. Sarah, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us for this. And I will be interrupting Tina with your questions that you type into your chat box. I'm going to try not to talk too much because I have a terrible cold, so you don't have to hear me sniffle. But I'm here to help you, and if you have any issues with your audio or with your with seeing slides, just put a note in the chat box too.
Great. So Sarah's kind of my eyes as we're going on, but really feel free to interrupt me. I'm a pretty informal person, so don't hesitate to stop if I'm moving too fast, if you have a specific question, because again, we want these webinars to be about you and what you need. So we will begin, and we are going to record this webinar as well so that we can use it later for more training. And for those who weren't able to join the call, although we are hosting the same training again next Tuesday at 1:30. So if you missed something today or feel like you need a second round of it, I know I always need to hear things twice before they really sink in. You're welcome to join again, but we will be hosting again. So welcome to today's webinar. Welcome. I hope that you are all well. I know that many of you have opened registrations. Some of you may have even closed your registrations, and this is the first time that our JSHS regions are using CVENT for their registration at the regional level. And so we've done several trainings over the past few months on how to use CVENT, how to be an administrator, how to create your registration pages, how to get data, what you're going to see. And this is just a continuation of those tutorials. And the topic of today is accessing data and creating reports. Now that many of you are coming to the end of your registration period and have lots of students, teachers, guests, participants who have registered, the questions are coming fast and furious about, okay, how do I see what people entered into their registration? Or I need to know how many people are coming for the first day of my event, or how many students are registered and only wish to present posters, and how many wish to present their oral presentations. There's all sorts of data that you captured in your registration, and now it's time to learn how to access it and how to create reports from it so that you can see all of the data gathered in one place. And the nice thing about reports is then you can manipulate it, right? You can sort it alphabetically by participant names. You can sort it by students and who's teachers, and you can sort it by which participants come from one high school or another high school. So once you've created these reports and you download them, and we encourage you to download to Excel, where it is much easier to sort and move things around and hide columns, or do what you need to do to see what you need for your organizational processes, is really helpful. And another great thing about the reports is, although there are some standard reports, which we have gone over in past tutorials, ones that CVENT kind of created generically, what we're going to do today is focus on how to create custom reports, which are ones that you're customizing to have the exact data fields that you want to come out in a report. So you're getting exactly what you need and nothing extra. Once you've created these and saved them, so that's the key, make sure you're saving them, and I will certainly show you how to do that. But once you've saved them, they are there in your custom report list so that you can always go back. So if you want to run a report today and see kind of what you have in your registrations, and then you go back in next week, you can run the report again next week. You don't have to recreate it again. So once the custom reports are created, they are saved, and then they're in your system so that anytime you want to see kind of new data, real-time data, you just run the report again, and it's very easy. Sometimes my buttons don't always work. Great. So the objective of today is to learn how to create and customize reports through the custom reporting feature on CVENT so that you can capture and use specific data that you need coming from your registrations. Many of you know how to see the basic data in CVENT through your administrator pages, but this training will allow you to find and capture the specific fields you need so you can put them all in one file and then organize those to fit your needs. And like I said, once created and saved, the custom reports can be reused, so you won't have to go through the process again and again. Although you may find that you want to create a custom report that just captures demographic data, and then you want to create another custom report that just captures some of the participation arrangement data. For example, especially if you're doing a multi-day event, you may want a report that just captures the information about who needs overnight accommodations, who needs parking on campus, who is coming to lunch and dinner and breakfast, so you know how many meal tickets you need to issue through your dining services, or how many meals you're going to need to serve. Again, if you're working with a caterer or ordering food, or working with your university's dining services, or with a hotel, that's information you want. You may want to create a different report for that. So you can create as many custom reports as you want, or you can create one big one that captures everything, whatever is going to be easiest for you. So there are lots of benefits to creating the reports. Again, capturing specific data that you want and customizing it. You can see the data in real time, so I'll show you how to set the date range, but if you set it to the present time, the report will run with data that's been entered up to this very minute. And again, you can save it so you can continue to run it as more and more people register. And then you can save them for future use, and then you can export and download them to be used in Excel or to save as a file somewhere else. So all of these things are good things. So I'm going to switch out of this PowerPoint, and I am going to share with you my screen, and I'm going to log into CVENT and use data from CVENT. So we're going to do this together so you can see exactly what things will look like as you're doing this yourself. So just give me a minute to escape and to switch over here to CVENT. Great. Oops, sorry. I was trying to delete. There we go. Okay. Great. So here's kind of your basic. Once you log in, you won't have a long list of events, probably just the one event for this year, but because our national office, we have access to all of the different regional CVENT pages, so we have quite a list here, which is great to see so many of the regions using CVENT this year. But I'm going to use our regional template to create my report today. So I click on my event. You'll click on the name of your event. So whether it's the Washington, D.C. Registration, the Virginia registration, the Southeastern Michigan, you'll click on that. And then as you should be familiar with at this point, this is kind of your basic landing page. It will say the name of your region up here at the top. And then here's a graph of kind of the traffic coming in, how many people are registering on given dates. And you can see kind of your spikes and low points and things about your registration. Okay, so the first thing we're going to start, we're going to go to the reporting tab here on the very far right, and we're going to click and hover over that. There we go. Oh, where did it go? There we go. And then we're going to scroll over here to the left. And you see we have the standard reports. These are the ones that CVENT's already created that are fairly generic, but there are a few that are good because they capture kind of name, address, those types of things. So you may find some of those to be useful rather than customizing one. But what we're doing today is custom reports. So we're going to click on custom reports. Okay, and you see right now, here's a list of my custom reports. Do not have any custom reports. Well, I have yet to create any custom reports, but once you've created and saved some of your reports, you will then see a list with the names of the reports as you saved them. So you'll be able to choose the name that you're saving it as. So for example, demographic data or hotel information, meal information, whatever it is that you need, name your report and you'll be able to see that list here. And this is how you'll be able to reuse those reports once they've been created. But for now, I don't have any. So I want to create one. So I'm going to go up here to the green button, create custom report, and I'm going to click on that green button. Great. So now I'm in step 1, which is selecting what to report on. On this very first page, there's really not a whole lot that I need to do because the default is set really to what I need. So, so you'll see category is attendees. There is a pull down list for event, but we want attendees. So you don't need to change anything here. And usually by default, this first checkbox is marked for all attendees, and that's who we want to include. That's the way our JSHS CVENT pages are set up. So there's really no need to click on anything else here. So you really just move forward past the screen and click next. Great. So now we're at step 2. We're moving right along. And this is the meat of the report. So this is where you're going to select the fields that you want to display, or those fields, the columns that you want to come up in your report. So first name, last name, email address. If you're looking for demographic information, this is where you'd want those fields with, you know, race and ethnicity. Is English your first language? Do you qualify for free and reduced lunch? Those are kind of the standard demographic questions that we're asking as required by the AEOP this year. So again, you will see that CVENT kind of tries to think ahead for us and includes some basic fields here for us. However, for JSHS, most of these fields are not in our registrations, and so this is not really working for us. So there are a couple useful tools to point out on this page. So first of all, we see these are the fields here listed in the left-hand column. And so these are the things, the fields that are going to come up. So right now, if we were to run the report, we'd get the full name, the email address, the company, status, all of these things. And again, we don't collect a lot of these questions through our CVENT registration. They'd end up being blank. So another useful tool is the delete column, or the little trash can icon here on the right. So if you want to get rid of a field because you don't want it to appear in your report and clutter it, you can click delete. So we'll get rid of all of these things. Status, invitee guest. You just click on the trash can and they are gone. Okay. You may or may not want full name. Sometimes it's helpful to have a full name, but I'll also show you where you can separate that so you get a column with the last name and a column with the first name of your participants, but we may want to keep the full name field as well. For example, if you're going to use this to help you create a mail merge or to print name tags, you may want the full name printed, and here you go, you can do that too. The reorder button, which is right here next to delete, these little arrows, allows you to click on it, and you can move um, the field up or down. So again, the order that it appears here, going top to bottom in the fields column, will be the order that the fields appear going left to right in your report. So sometimes it's nice when you're creating the report to already put it in the order that you think you're going to need, so you have less manipulating to do on the other side when the report comes out. And so the last button that's important here on this page is add field. So this is, I want to add other information from my registrations. So this is where you're going to do that. So you're going to click add field. Now you're going to get this kind of pop-up window here, and this shows how you can add different fields from different questions that come up in CVENT. The things that you see in these menus, some of them do not apply to JSHS. We either deleted them because we didn't require them for what our needs as an event as JSHS, and some of the questions we hid based on what you needed. So just be aware that a lot more information appears here than what we actually asked on registration. But CVENT lists everything here. But the first step in adding fields is to select a category. So CVENT has organized the questions that we ask in our registration pages by category. And so if you use the pull-down menu, you'll see there is personal information, address information, registration information, all of these things. And like I said a minute ago, we don't use all of these things in our JSHS registration. So the categories that you are most likely going to use are going to be personal information, address information, registration information, and then registration questions. This is where you're going to find most of the data that you're going to be asked for. So personal information is kind of, I'll show you, and is right here. These are the things that come up in the category of personal information. First name, last name, and email address are probably the most common things that you're going to look for in the personal information column. And then address information is really just that. So the home address, work address, those things. So that will be where you get that information. But registration questions, registration information actually is also very important, because if you click on registration information, the one piece you're going to need, I don't think anything else really pertains to any of our regions, but you will want to capture the registration type, because that will tell you, that's where people indicate whether they're a student, a teacher, a guest, or a volunteer for the program. So this is a great sorting tool. So many of you will want to capture this field in a custom report. And again, we will publish all of this information, so don't feel like you have, if you're writing some notes, that's great, but we will publish this information so you have it written down, so that you'll have kind of a cheat sheet next to you as you're doing it yourself. But registration type will be important from registration information. But like I was saying, registration questions is going to be the category where you're going to find a lot of the meat or the questions that you are going to want to pull data from in your report. So I just selected that, and if you see, it's processing, so it is taking a long time to think. There it is. So now you're seeing the questions that we asked in our registration, the questions that your participants were asked to input information on. So you can collect information on the abstract or research papers. This will just give the titles of those papers and the link to download them them. In a previous training, I showed you how to download those papers and print them out so you have them. But this, if you're looking just to get the titles or the list of things, you can do that by selecting here. These are all some of the other questions. You can use the scroll bar to the right, but questions about, do you have a disability or require special accommodations, dietary restrictions, are you 17 or younger? And then you can go down, and for those that are, they will have information. You can find out who has consent. You can make a report for the parent guardian, legal information, so that you can create an emergency contact list if you need that. This is where you're going to find all of those questions. Project title, if teachers were asked to nominate students, here is where you're looking, you're seeing the nomination names. So again, you're able to select the fields, the specific things that you want to show up in your report. The final category that you're going to find very useful is for those items that did not show up in registration question. They are going to show up in a category called, if I scroll all the way down to the bottom, custom fields. So this will be the last category. So really you're looking at getting your information mostly from 5 categories here. But here is where CVENT captures a lot of the demographic information that we're requiring. So citizenship, date of birth, grade level, school information, gender, race, ethnicity, FARMS, FARMS stands for free and reduced lunch at school. So if you're looking to see who may qualify for that, we did ask that question. Is the student a first generation college student, comes from a military family, those types of things. Again, there are more things listed down here, but really I think, these top maybe 15, top 14 will be the ones that you're likely to use the most. So what you want to do is select the category. So we'll go back to personal information. And then in order to select the fields, you just check the box next to the fields you want. So I do want to capture the participant's first name and last name, and I do want their email address. But there's probably nothing else I really want here in my report. You do see gender down here, but for the way that we set up CVENT, and I wish I had an answer for you, and I don't. If you click on this gender and this date of birth under participant information, or under personal information, I'm sorry, you won't get any data. They'll come up blank because we ask those questions as custom fields. Again, that's how our AEOP CVENT administrators set up our registration. So I'm not sure why that is, but just be aware that clicking here is not going to get you the information. So I want first name, last name, and email address from that category. I click OK. And now I see that they've been saved here under my report fields, but I still want more fields. So I'm going to do a report today to capture demographic information, because all of you are going to need to create a report on creating demographic information so that you can submit your final annual report at the end of the season. Those are usually due at the end of June to Doris and to our national office. So we're going to concentrate on collecting demographic information today in our custom report. So I'm going to add another field. So I just simply repeat the process. Now I'm going to go to, let's see, to registration information, because I do want to include whether this was a student, a teacher, or a guest, or a volunteer. And I'm going to add another field. I want to go to the registration questions. And I want to see if there was anything here. I I do want to know if the school is a Title I school. Only teachers were asked that question, so that's why it's important that I had the registration type included. So I'll only see data entered for teachers. Students, that will be left blank, but I do want to know that. I don't think that there's anything else that I want to know here. So I'll click OK. And then I definitely want to go to that custom information category way at the bottom, the custom fields. So again, you just repeat this process for every category and then check off the boxes that you need. And I want gender, and I want race, ethnicity, I want free and reduced lunch, English as a first language, did a parent graduate from college, and military family affiliations. And I click OK. So now I see here are my report fields. Okay, and they're all listed right here for me to see. This is what's going to come up in my demographic report. And again, if I know I'm going to want to sort this by last name, and I want last name to be the first column in my report. And right now, full name is. So I want to move last name to the top. So I'm going to use the reorder button, and I'm going to select and just hold that button down as I move last name up to the top. And now it's going to go last name, full name, first name, email address. So you can reorder in any way that you want to help you sort. And again, if you captured something and then you're like, you know what, I really don't need to know military family history right now, I'm going to delete that. You can kind of edit your report. And once I look at it and I say, yes, I like it, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go down to this bottom question, display the total number of records. And I do want to see the total number of records that are in my registration and that are displayed. So I will click the yes button, and then I'm going to go ahead and click next. Okay, and so now I get to step 3, which is how to group and sort data. I don't think you're welcome to play on this page, in this step. I have not done too much playing because I tend to use those reorder buttons to sort the things that I need and to sort the data into the order that I want it. So I don't know, you really don't need to do anything here. I think the easy way out is not to do anything here, but certainly as you get more familiar with CVENT and more comfortable with it and the reporting, you may want to play and see what the capabilities are. I just haven't had a lot of time to do that, I'll be honest. So I haven't, and I haven't seen a need for it yet. So I just go on to click next. Great, and now we get the data limit. So this is where you can enter a date range. So often the date defaults will be the from date will be the date that you opened your registration, and then the to date will be today, to be the present, or you can leave the to date blank and it will automatically default for today. But if you want to see a certain date range, you can certainly enter something specific. You want to see who entered data in your first week. You can enter that. But most of the time, I think you're really going to want to know kind of as much as possible, and you're going to want the date range to be from the very moment you opened till this very last second, the up to the minute data. But feel free to customize your date range as you need by adjusting these dates. Okay, so now you're ready to run the report. Okay, you've created what you need, you've captured the fields you need, you have the date range of the data that you want to include. So you finish and run report. You'll see the processing button, it's thinking. This may take a minute or two. It depends on kind of how complicated, how many fields you use, and also just kind of maybe your system bandwidth how slow your computer's being this day. I recommend, even though you can export now, I recommend that you wait, especially the first time, because you want to be able to save your report. So wait till you get this screen, and here it is. Here is your report. So now you see we have last name, full name, first name. If I scroll over, I can now see all the different fields. I can see these are what the people entered. A lot of these people here, because they were testers for us, are our other regional staff. But here I am, right there. So this is the data that you're seeing and how people were testing things and entering information. But now you can copy it. Cool. So you can view it here, you can print it from CVENT, but we find it to be much easier to export the file to Excel, download it, and then save it there. But before you export, it's really important to save your report if you think you're going to want to access it again, and you probably are. So I really encourage you to use the Save button. So first, let's save our report. So we're going to go up to the green button, and this is the one, you only have to do this step the first time you create the report itself, because then once it's saved. So I'm going to go green and I'm going to save. Great, and now we can see here my basic information, the name of the report. So I'm going to put JSHS demographic. I'm not typing well. Oh. Demographic report. And this will be the name that it's saved as. I can put any, includes name, email, and all demographic fields. So you can put whatever notes you want or leave this description blank, but sometimes it's helpful because then you can go in and be like, what was that? What did I include in that report? Like, is that the report I want to pull from today? So you may want to put some note in here to remind you what's in the demographic report. Okay, then all these other things are here. Report visibility, if it's private, means that only you are going to be able to see the custom report, as well as me, Doris, and Brian Leftridge, who is our AEOP CVENT administrator, but no one else will be able to see it. If for some reason, I doubt that you, in fact, I encourage you not to make it public, but if you do want to share it with somebody, you can make it public. And then here are the people you can share with. And these are all AEOP programs and AEOP staff members. But again, there's really no need for you to share anything. I will still be able to see it, so I can always access things to help you if you need troubleshooting. So I recommend that you not make it public, especially given the fact that there is some confidential information captured in these reports and in your CVENT pages. So I'm ready to go. There's really nothing else you need to do in the save. It's really just saving it as the name and putting some description in. So I'm going to save my report. And now it says that it's been saved. So now I'm going to run the report again. I don't know why you have to run it again, why it won't just go back to the page that you were just on, but it doesn't. So kind of an inefficient part of CVENT. But here it comes. Great, and now you see I can't save it anymore. It's already been saved. So that green save button is no longer here because this isn't the first time I've run the report. But what I do want to note right here is this is how I export. So there's a little disk icon at the top and it says export. So I hover over that disk and I can click, and now I can choose the particular format to save in. I like to use Excel. So I just did that. And then I'll move this little box, the chat box, But now I see here's the download. This is where my downloads appear. On some computers, the download may appear up in the right-hand side of the screen or somewhere else based on your computer. But I'm going to click on the report, and I'm going to open it, and now here it is in Excel. So now I can do data sorts. I can do all sorts of things. I can highlight rows to be yellow, and I can make that blue, and I can, do all sorts of things to sort, for example, if I want to sort by last name, highlight the whole field, um, sort by category, last name. Okay, and then I can do a second sort at a level, and I can sort by registration type. Those are probably key things you may want to sort by. And I'm sure many of you are familiar with Excel and how to use it. But now I've just, oh, that didn't really. So anyway, now you have your report here in Excel. You can manipulate it as you want, play around with it, and then of course, if you want to save it into, your folders, onto your desktop, however you want to save it into your files, you can then do that and access it at any time. Okay. So the cool thing is, I'm going to close my report. I'm done with it now. And now I go to reporting and custom reports, and there it is. I have a custom report now. So now anytime I want to access the demographic data, I can by clicking demographic report. And I can click run report. If I wanted to change the date range the second time I ran the report for some reason, I can go to filtering, and then I see the date range, and I can use the edit button. So I could change the date. But again, every time you run the report, if you're looking for the up to the minute data, it defaults to that. So you don't have to change the date to the present date every time. It automatically does that. But if for some reason you want to run the report but want a specific window of time to capture, you can do that there. You can also go to fields, the fields tab. If you did decide later you wanted to edit something in the report, again, you can go to fields, you can go to edit, and now you can move fields around if you notice things were not in the order that you wanted them to be, or you want to get rid of a field. I don't need the full name. I have the last name in the first name column, so this is really redundant. I can get rid of that, and then I'll just click save. And now I have my report again, just without that field. So, so that's if you do want to edit, that's how you do that. But now every time I go to the demographic report and click run report, I'm going to get the report of that information.
And Tina, Doreen just messaged that you probably needed to sort first by first name and then by last name, and then the teachers would have been together and the students together.
Great, and I just wasn't, thank you, Doreen, and that could have been it. I also know that because that was test registration, some people entered first names in multiple places because they were just moving quickly. It was a test mode for many people. I didn't spend a lot of time on that, but you're right, there are definitely different ways to try and sort and to get things in the right order. So it's just manipulating and playing. Thank you, Doreen, for pointing that out. So are there any questions? That is how to run the report. I know I've been getting lots of questions about, I need this data, so I've been creating some custom reports for regions. I am happy to do that for you all as well, but you do know how to do it now, so I encourage you to try. The cool thing about these reports is, even if you have not completed your registration is still open. but you want to set up some of these reports in advance because you know that when registration closes, you are on a tight timeline to get things organized for your symposia. You can create these now and save them so that then all you have to do when kind of when you're in the heat of the moment and you need a report, you don't have to go through this step. You've already taken the time to create the report. You just have to run it. So, but I'm more than happy to help you. As you know, you can call anytime. I can do an individual tutorial with you. I can help set it up for you. But I encourage you to play, and now you do know how to do it yourself. So when you need that specific information and you want it all in one place, you can gather that for your events.
I had a question.
Yes, Sandra.
Once you have set up your report and run it, if you have additional participants and you want to run it again, will those automatically update, or do I have to go back?
No, it should automatically update. So if someone had registered in the 5 minutes between when I ran the report just a few minutes ago and now, and I were to click on the demographic report and click run, and somebody else had entered information, I would get that new participant. Does that make sense?
Yes, thanks.
Okay. So that is one of the really cool things about CVENT, and one of the reasons why we like it and we like to use it is because it does capture real-time data up to the minute, or as close to up to the minute as is reasonable and possible. But if I were to run the report tomorrow and 5 people registered overnight, 5 students register after school today, and I run the report tomorrow, I would then see the 5 new people. And I wouldn't have to change the dates, because remember, the default date is always set to the present. So I only need to change the date if I want a specific window that's, if I wanted to know who registered last week, or if I want to see, did anyone register after the deadline? You could capture, if I know my deadline was February 1st, but I kept my CVENT site open for a few days just in case there were any exceptions or I offered any extensions, but you really want to see who updated, who entered before February 1st, you could run a report, to see that, and you would just set the date from the time you open registration to the to date would be February 1st. I hope that makes that more clear. Are there any other questions?
No questions in the chat yet.
Okay. So I will certainly stay on the call a little bit longer as you're processing, or if you have questions, but that it really concludes the training for today. Again, you've seen kind of how to capture the fields, how to select them by the categories, and we will send out this tutorial in a PowerPoint form so that you have kind of your cheat sheet of notes and know kind of what are the most common categories you're going to be using when selecting fields, and what are the fields that are probably going to be the most popular, meaning the ones that you're going to want to access. And I will make a list of kind of where those are, but you will need to play, select the category and then see what questions pop up under that category, and you'll start to learn kind of how CVENT thinks and how CVENT organizes the data so that you can find it more easily.